See that little L300 just left the fast lane? Oh, he's trying to drive around the enforcer. There's a guy smoking in the back. From what I understand, that is prohibited in government vehicles. Anyway, the driver's compliant, he's given his license ORCR. And things just became a little bit more complicated because allegedly the driver's handed over a fake driver's license. Oh, and then he just stole the vehicle, dropped the clutch. My guess is that that's for... I just heard the driver talk to the enforcer now, and he said he didn't go through the process with LTO. Instead, he paid someone 8,000 pesos, and that's what they gave him. Allegedly a fake driver's license. And according to enforcers, their registration is also expired, at least what he showed to them. So you got busway, allegedly fake license, allegedly expired registration, and then the guy smoking in the back, which isn't a traffic violation, but as far as I know it is prohibited in government vehicles to smoke. There you go. Driving in slippers also, just like the one earlier. Isn't that right? I might get lucky because I was going to say the enforcers are busy, but actually I've just seen two that are walking towards him now. Let's see what he does if he just continues. No, look, he's already put himself into the middle. All of those riders managed to evade the enforcers. Now, if they did get the plate, then obviously they can submit it for show cause order. Otherwise, well, it's their lucky day. Again, that reminds me of some comments on the Cadillac. A lot of people said if it was a motorcycle, it'd be like this, it'd be like that. The truth is, if it was a motorcycle that didn't have a plate that they could trace, they never would have found it. They never would have even put in the effort to find it. It's only because it's a Cadillac and because they had that 7 plate and a public outrage that so much effort was put into trying to find it. Considering this vehicle was going along the busway with emergency lights, emergency siren, you would think that there's some kind of emergency, but according to enforcers, that's not the case. And actually, although the windows are tinted and there's also curtains inside, the back door was opened, and that's the time that they saw there's a lot of people in the back of this vehicle. And what the driver told them is that they're going to attend an event. Now, I assume they've been assigned there to assist, so that if anybody gets sick or doesn't feel well or something like that. Now, some people have said that no matter what, even if the vehicle is being used to escort VIPs or transport commuters or used for outings or whatever, just let it go so that you won't risk disturbing a legitimate emergency. the thing you have to consider is not just the disruption that it causes to the buses, because what happens when there's an emergency vehicle running lights and sirens? Well, what we've seen in the past is that sometimes the buses, they won't stop anymore. Instead, they'll keep going to give way to the emergency vehicle. So instead of getting off at, say, Main Avenue, commuters might be forced to get off at Santolan or Ortigas. So that's already a big disruption for them. The other thing is, every time you've got a vehicle running emergency lights and sirens, there is a risk to commuters inside the busway and even other drivers, because you never know how people are going to react. So that's why you always weigh up the risk of using those emergency features. Now, if you're actually going to save a life, or there's a legitimate emergency, then of course you use those, right? That's why they exist. That's why you're trained to use them. You're authorized to use them. But the thing that they keep apprehending here in the busway is emergency vehicles using emergency lights, emergency sirens, often traveling at a very high rate of speed, putting commuters sometimes at risk because they're unloading and then suddenly there's a vehicle flying past. In fact, I can tell you, one morning, it was around 5 a.m, we were about to unload from the bus. The guy next to me, I put my arm out and blocked him just before he stepped off, and then a marked vehicle with emergency lights came zooming past. If he'd have stepped down, he would have got hit straight away. Now, to some degree, that's a problem with the buses having the doors on the right side. Now, many buses have already been updated to have doors on both sides so that it's safer. But until all buses are updated, that is a risk. So, although emergency vehicles responding to emergencies are allowed to use the busway, there is a risk associated, and that's why they want to verify that the busway is being used responsibly and not just to beat the traffic. Now, I'm sorry this was a long conversation, but I just want to bring this up because a lot of people, they just see the word ambulance and emergency, think, oh, it's an emergency, don't stop them. When in fact it's a little bit more complicated than that, and there are other factors to consider. Not just the ambulance, but also the people inside the busway, other road users. I have the utmost respect for emergency responders, medical responders. And I know that there are many that work tirelessly every day. Like, they do not get enough sleep, they do not get enough rest, they do not get enough pay, they do not get enough anything. So we do have to give them our respect, at least, and admiration of what they do. But it's just unfortunate that some people are misusing those emergency vehicles. And that's why they started doing the verifications. Right now the ride is in the middle. Let's see if he suddenly changes lanes again once the enforcers go in to apprehend him. Oh, he's speeding up, he's swerving. I just saw him cut over to the other lane, that's why the enforcers are moving. Nearly got through. Very dangerous, honestly, for himself and for other road users. They do sometimes add extra violations like reckless driving. Having a little bit of a hard time with that rider also, because again he keeps changing lanes, but I think they finally got him in the middle there. We're now coming up to 8 a.m. I still haven't seen any cars inside the busway, so it's highly unlikely that we're going to see any this morning, because like I mentioned earlier, typically they don't use the busway once the sun is up and it's peak hours, because they know there's a significant risk of getting caught. They can't easily maneuver like a motorcycle. They can't just hide between other vehicles. So they're moving in now. It's a black, oh, I've just seen him, he's gone on the other side. It's a black motorcycle with a red bar in the middle. I saw him put himself on the outside as soon as the enforcer approached him. Oh, he's trying to push to the right while the enforcer's pushing him to the left. I hope he doesn't force it. Okay, he seems to be compliant now. Maybe. He has handed over his license, so... Not sure what that string on the back is all about on the license plate. There's a rider that just left the bus lane. He's wearing a nutshell helmet or some kind of unauthorized helmet. I was checking something at the time, so I wasn't able to start the camera, but he swerved over to the other side. So aside from the busway violation, you've also got unauthorized helmet. There he is, he's approaching the enforcer. And then if they want to add reckless driving, that's also a possibility. But not guaranteed. Depends on the enforcer if they're going to add it. Obviously that type of helmet wouldn't give you the right level of protection.